Okay. Well, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for coming for our week 2 of our balance exercise class series. And before we get started here, I'm going to just quickly share my screen because I want to bring your attention to our upcoming Parkinson Super Walk, which is happening this year, September the 11th. So the weekend of September the 11th. So that's the Saturday and the Sunday. And it will be virtual again this year because of the pandemic, of course. And even if things are reopened by then, it's hard to know how safe things will be. So it's still going to be online this year. And if you want more information, you're welcome to go on to parkinson.bc.ca/superwalk for more information and find out how you can register. And I'm also going to put the link in the chat box here. So if anybody wants to look at the Superwalk website, you're welcome to have a look at the chat box. Okay, well, I can see more people trickling in as I was doing my little spiel there about the Superwalk. So if you are new to our class today is session 2 of 8. And hopefully you can see here, we're on the Zoom platform, so you can use a chat box, which should be in a little chat icon at the very bottom of your screen. There should be a chat icon that you can click on, and then it opens up the chat box. During today's class, if you want to ask me any questions or talk to me about anything, you will use the chat box as a way to communicate with me because all of your microphones are disabled. It's just so that way when we have a relatively big class, we don't get any echo or feedback coming in through the audio. So if you want to talk to me about anything or ask questions, you're welcome to do so in the chat box. For those who are new today, our balance class, it tends to start in a seated position and then we move to a standing position. So because of the nature of a balance and falls class, things will be in a standing position for the last half of the class, and there won't be any seated modifications, just because we want to be able to simulate a real world environment where your balance may be needed. So you can imagine if we had seated modifications, it won't necessarily transfer over into a balanced task. So as much as you can, when we are doing the standing portion of the exercise class, if you can stand up for that, that would be great. But of course, you're welcome to hold on to a chair, a table, or a wall for balance if you like, but try your best to follow along. And given that there are 8 sessions in the series, things will get progressively harder as we go along. So if you find anything feeling a little bit too simple or a little bit slow paced for you, don't worry, they will ramp up over time. So bear with me because it's important for us to start with the basics and build on those as the weeks go on. Okay, I think that's it for me. So if you can all hear me and see me, which I hope you can, I don't see any complaints in the chat box so far, so I assume you can see me and hear me okay. We will get started. I'm going to move back to my chair. So hopefully you can see me here. I've tried my best to shut the blinds behind me, but of course with the light coming in, I know it's not ideal, but hopefully you can see me okay and there's not too much shadow happening there. Okay, so we're going to be sitting at the front of our chairs. So I don't want to see anybody slouching back like this or to the side. It's really important that we're shuffling our bottom to the front of the chair and we're sitting upright without relying on the back of the chair. And we're just going to get started with our warm up. We're going to start by marching on the spot. And as we're marching on the spot, we're not necessarily going for speed here. So we're not trying to march as fast as we can. We're just trying to march at a good pace that you feel comfortable with. And we're going to be concentrating on lifting those knees nice and high and swinging the arms while maintaining our height. So I don't want to see anybody's spine get lower like this. We want to keep our spine up nice and tall as we're swinging the arms and lifting the knees nice and high. Now, you'll probably notice as we're marching here, my arms are swinging, and they're not just swinging forward like this, but they're swinging backwards behind me as well. So your arms should be swinging back just as far as they are swinging forward. So we're thinking about moving in a 3D kind of perspective. So we're not just going in one direction, but we're trying to fill up as much space as we can in all directions. Great. Check in with yourself. Are you still sitting up nice and tall? Thinking about the crown of the head reaching for the ceiling. Good. And now we're going to dig our heels forward and raise our hands up towards the ceiling. So you're kind of tapping your heels forward in front of you. And as you're tapping the heels, you're reaching those arms up to the ceiling as well. Still trying to keep your spine nice and long, open the chest. Want to make sure the arms are in line with your ears and not up here in front of you. So ideally, you don't want to be able to see your arms out of your peripheral vision. You want to keep them nice and open, the chest nice and open. Nicely done. Nice pace here. Just getting our body nice and warm. Good. Let's do a few more here. 2 more. And now we're going to tap out to the side and reach our arms up at the same time. Keep those elbows nice and lifted as we're tapping the legs out to the side. We're reaching those arms, opening the fingers, and then closing those arms back toward the collarbones, but you're still keeping the elbows nice and lifted if you can. Noticing here, my height hasn't changed. I'm still nice and tall. Imagine you got a book balancing on your head. Great. Keep it going a little bit more. Nice and tall. Tap those toes out to the side. See how far you can reach the legs. Nicely done. Let's go. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now bring the arms down. We're going to keep the legs going. We're going to tuck those elbows down into our ribs. And as we're doing this, we're going to reach the arm up, the same arm as the leg, up in the opposite direction. So you're kind of doing a bit of a side tipping position as you're reaching your leg out to the side. So you're bringing your arm up and away from that extended leg, keeping your chest pointing forward. So we're having a little bit of a stretch along the side of our body at the same time as we're doing this tapping motion with the legs. Good. And of course, if anything feels a little bit too fast for you, you can feel free to slow it down as long as your technique is still the same as what we're doing here. So keep your chest forward. We're looking right in front of us, not at the floor. Open those fingertips, reaching as far as you can, seeing how much room you can fill up. Nicely done. Let's do 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. And come back to the center. Sit up nice and tall. Take your hand, reach it to the outside of the opposite knee. Then the other hand is going to reach around, grab the chair, sit up nice and tall, and twist your body over. Almost like you're trying to look at the back wall, but keeping your spine up nice and long, nice and tall, twisting on its axis. Holding it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and come back to the center. Same thing, other side. Take your hand, bring it to the outside of the opposite knee, then take your other hand, reach it around to your chair, and using your arms, pull yourself around into a rotation. Almost as if you're trying to look at the back wall, but you're trying to keep your spine up nice and tall, still reaching the crown of the head to the ceiling for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Okay, you stay where you are. I'm just going to turn my chair sideways so you can see me. Now, we're going to practice our sit to stands just like last time, as slow as we can. So important thing here is when we're doing our sit to stands, I don't want to see anybody sitting all the way back in the chair and then pushing the back of their legs into the chair to stand. That's a little bit of a cheat. So we're going to try to avoid that, right? So we're not pushing into the back of the legs against the chair to stand. And we're also not trying to use momentum or trying to use our arms to pull ourselves up, right? We want to rely on the legs, on the muscles in the legs to help us stand, because these are really important to help you maintain your center of gravity over your base of support so you can maintain balance at all times. So here's what we're going to do. Shuffle to the front of your chair so you can see me as a side profile. You can see that I'm at the very edge of my chair. My feet are flat onto the floor. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring my chest forward. So kind of like you're trying to bring your breastbone down in front of your toes. And then from here, you're going to imagine someone's grabbed your shirt and pulled you forward even more. So you're shifting your weight over your feet. And then from here, you're going to push the floor away from you as hard as you can as you squeeze your bum cheeks to stand up nice and tall. And then from here, same thing on the way down, sticking your bottom back, chest forward, almost like someone's pulling your shirt forward over your feet. So your weight stays right over your feet. And then you're going to slowly sit down again. And we're going to repeat that again. So we're going to try to do 10 nice and slow in your own time, or you can do more if you like. But remember, the emphasis here is not to push the legs into the chair to help you stand. And you're also not trying to use the arms to pull you up. And you're also not using momentum to help you. So hence why the slower, the better. And I really want you to concentrate here on bringing your weight, your center of gravity over your feet. So you're balancing the weight of your body over your feet at all times. Nice and slow. And you might need to play around with this a little bit to find how you can shift your weight over your feet without losing balance. So it might be a little bit of a trial and error for you. It might be that the first time you did it, your weight was too far back and you felt like you were falling back into the chair. So the next time you do it, you bring your feet further back so that your center of gravity is easier to transfer over your feet. Or it might be that you realize you didn't lean forward enough the first time, so you're going to lean forward even more the next time you try. Or maybe you're thinking about pushing the floor away from you as hard as you can in order to stand up nice and tall, squeezing those bottom cheek muscles together, and then reversing that same stand to sit. How we doing? I must admit, I've lost count because I've been talking, so I don't know what number I'm on now. But I'm going to do a little bit more, and hopefully you're counting your sit to stand repetitions, or if you're not, that's okay. I hope you're concentrating on how slow you can do this movement. So we're not going fast because we don't want to be cheating with momentum. And we also don't want to be pushing the back of our legs into the chair to stand, right? You want to rely on your own muscles and your own skeletal system. So you're really trying to balance your entire weight over your 2 feet in order to stand up. Same with on the way down. When you're sitting down from standing, we're not just plopping down into the chair, but you're balancing your weight over your 2 feet in order to sit back down. Nice and quiet. Good. Maybe I'll do one more here. I think we've probably done more than 10 now. We'll do one last one here. Wherever you are on your last sit to stand, you're going to stay standing. Good. Keep nice and tall. Squeeze your bum cheeks together. Nicely done. Okay. We're going to stay standing. I'm just moving my chair so you can see me. Now I'm going to turn sideways again. because the next thing we're going to practice is going to be our squats, like last time, except we're adding on a little bit. So here I'm standing sideways so you can see me. You're going to send your hips back, almost like you're about to sit down in a chair, but you should be keeping your weight on your heels so that your toes can come off the floor if you wanted them to. And then from here, you're gonna squeeze your bum cheeks, stand all the way back up nice and tall. Then you're gonna push the toes into the floor to rise up and lower the heels again. Same thing. We're squatting down, stick your bottom back, almost like you're about to sit down, just like we practiced. And then push the floor away from you again, squeeze the bum cheeks, rise up onto your toes and lower down. Now, this is really tough for you. You're welcome to put your hands onto a supporting surface when you're doing your rise to help you if you like. But the most important thing here is we're actually, as we're doing the squat, we're transferring our weight back onto the heels. And as we stand up, we're pushing our weight forward onto the balls of the feet and then taking that further into a rise. So you're kind of transferring your weight forward and backwards in a way as we're doing this movement. So just like before, we're not trying to do this as fast as we can, but we're trying to go nice and slow so we can really work on the control here, wiggling your toes a few times at the bottom of the squat, just to make sure you've got the right weight distribution. Squeezing your bottom. When you rise up, imagine you're pushing down into the floor to go up. That will help you with your balance. Rather than thinking I need to go up, think pushing down to go up. So as slow as you can, the slower, the better, because the slower you're doing this, the more control you've got here in your muscles. So we're not trying to speed through everything. We're trying to work on the weight distribution here, because a lot of the times when we talk about balance and falls in Parkinson's, what we're actually trying to work on is your ability to shift weight over your base of support, because that's where a lot of the balance and falls issues come from, is when you don't have the ability to move your center of gravity over your base of support with control. Let's do one more here. And we're gonna rest. Okay, now I'm bringing my chair back. I want you to now hold on to your chair or your table, whatever you're using before. You're gonna hold on. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna lean forward a little bit like so, okay? Just so we have a little bit of bend in our hips. From here, you're gonna bring one of your legs back like this. So kind of like you're putting the toe on the floor, but you're still leaning forward. If you want, you can put your forearms down on the chair if that's more comfortable. We're leaning forward, one leg is back, keeping that back knee straight. You're going to lift that leg off the floor and don't let it touch down the floor again. So we're lifting it up, hovering down without touching the floor and going back up. We're doing 20 of these. And notice here, my back is not moving, right? So as I'm lifting my leg, I'm only moving that leg, and I'm not doing this with my back. I'm keeping my back still. It's just the leg lifting. So you're using the back of your thigh and the bottom muscle to help you lift up. You might want to bend your supporting leg a little bit if you feel like the back of your thigh is very tight. So 20 of these in your own time, squeezing the bottom cheek muscle and the back of the thigh to lift up, keeping that leg nice and straight, not moving your back. I've lost count again because I was talking. But keep going. Let's do 8 more. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Same thing, other side, leaning forward. So you have a slight bend in your hips. Bring the other leg back. Keep that knee nice and straight. Then you're going to hover off the ground, doing 20 of these pulses without your back moving. Squeezing the back of the thigh muscle and the bottom cheek muscle, keeping the knee facing down. So we're not turning the leg out, we're keeping the knee facing down, Keep your hips squared. Good, let's do 8 more. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Switching legs again, bending forward, leg back. This time, we're bending the knee. So see how here my back knee is bent? I'm gonna keep that knee bent at all times. Imagine there's a little ball you're holding at the back of your knee and you're keeping it there. Keeping that knee bent, you're gonna lift the thigh 20 times without the knee straining. So same thing, your back is not moving at all, just that hip, just that thigh moving. Keep that knee bent as much as you can. You should feel it a little bit more in your bottom muscle. Good, well done. Here's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Same thing, other side. Leaning forward, leg back, bend that knee, almost like you're holding a little ball at the back of the knee. And then from here, lifting the thigh up 20 times without the back moving. So the only thing that should be moving is that back thigh. So if I covered up that moving thigh with a big tarp and I took pictures of your upper torso, it shouldn't look like they're moving at all. You should feel that in your bottom muscle. Nicely done. Let's do 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Okay, I'm just turning my chair so I can face you. This time, you're going to bring one of your legs out to the side, okay? And you're gonna keep the knee pointing forward, keep the hips pointing forward, holding on to something, standing upright this time, keeping that knee straight and the toes pointing forward. You're going to lift the leg out to the side. So if I'm doing it from the side, you can see it straight on to the side, and you can see my toes are pointing forward. I'm not doing this. I'm not turning the leg. I'm keeping my hips facing forward as I'm lifting that leg off the floor. So you're doing the same thing, 20 pulses here, keeping yourself balanced. Imagine you got a book on your head. Don't let yourself tip over to the side. Keep yourself upright. It should just be the outside of that hip that you're moving. Nicely done. I've lost count again because I was talking. Let's do 8, 7, 6, 5. Don't let it touch the floor. 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Same thing, other side. Bring the leg out, keeping the hips squared on, knee and toe facing forward. Upright, imagine that book balancing on your head, and then we're lifting it. Don't let it touch the ground. Pulse it up in the air, keep the toes forward. Standing nice and tall, imagine that book on your head, keep going. Don't let the leg touch the floor. Let's do 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Shake out your leg. Well done. Okay. We're moving that chair now. I'm gonna stand facing you. Feet are gonna be hip width apart, maybe a little bit more narrow, but definitely not like this, too wide, okay? You want them to be hip width apart and maybe a little bit more narrow. Now, I want you to imagine you've got no hips, no knees, okay? No joints in the body, you're nice and stiff. And all we're gonna do here is we're gonna rock forward and backwards from our ankles only. Let me turn sideways. So you can see here, my knees and my hips and my body's not moving. The only thing moving here is my ankle. So it's kind of like you're an upside down pendulum, if you will. And essentially what I'm doing here is I'm transferring my weight from my heels to the balls of my feet. And I'm kind of balancing my entire skeletal system on top of this rocking ankle motion. So nice and stiff. You can see my hips are not moving. It's my ankle. So you can see it's my ankle that's tipping me forward and backwards. So see how far you can go in each direction. How far forward can you go? And how far backwards can you go without losing balance? Keep your body nice and rigid, nice and stiff. Arms in by your side. really feeling that weight shift in your ankle. You're bringing the weight from your heels to the balls of your feet and back to your heels again. Keeping your bottom tucked in. I don't want to see anybody's bottom sticking out like this, so we're not doing this. I'm exaggerating. I'm sure none of you are doing that. We're just trying to make sure that it's only our ankle joint that's moving our entire body. Kind of like you're drawing a vertical line on the floor. Good. And then we're going to do the same thing. Let me face you so you can see. Same thing side to side. So essentially, you can see here, my knees and hips are also not moving. What I'm doing here is I'm sort of moving my weight from the left borders of my feet to the right borders of my feet. But I'm not doing this. See how here my hips are moving? So I'm not moving my hips. I'm keeping everything tucked in and I'm moving the entire body as a unit. Almost like you're drawing a horizontal line on the floor this time. So the more narrow your feet, the more challenging it's going to be. So try not to have your feet too wide. You want them to be at a maximum, your hip width apart, but ideally a little bit more narrow. How are we doing? Okay. Now we're going to put both of those things together. And this time, just on your ankle joint, you're going to write your first and last name without your hips or ankles, or sorry, your hips or knees moving, just ankle. Let me turn sideways so you can see. So you can see how rigid my entire body is. But I'm using this ankle rocking motion to write my first and last name. So essentially, you're shifting your weight over your base of support, which is both feet in this case, over your base of support and drawing that shape of the alphabet here as you're writing the first and your last name. And now if this is feeling super easy for you and you want to challenge, try to see if you can close your eyes and do the same thing without losing your balance. So you're really trying to feel where the weight shift is over your feet. So you're moving your center of gravity over your base of support with control without losing your balance. And of course, the bigger you move, the harder it will be for you to keep balance. So you can play around with amplitude as well as closing your eyes if you like. But of course, I want you to be safe. I don't want anyone to actually fall in the class. So if you feel like you need to hold on to something, or if you feel like you need to move in a smaller amplitude, please feel free to do so. And of course, my name is super short, so this is my third time writing my first and last name now. So if you're like me and you have a short name, please go ahead and keep repeating writing your first and last name using this method of what we were just talking about, with only the ankle being what moves you. So kind of like the upside down pendulum idea. The rest of your body stiff as a board. Okay, wherever you are, just finish off with that name. And then when you're done, you can have a rest. God, you can shake out the arms, shake out the legs. Okay. So our next bit is we're going to practice our multi-direction stepping. We're going to ignore the arms for a second. We're just going to do the legs. Here's what it's going to look like. Take your leg, you're going to lift it up nice and high. Imagine you're stepping over something. And you're going to step forward as far as you can. And then you're going to use that same leg, pushing down into the floor, lifting up nice and high and bring it back into the center. So you're thinking about stepping over something, same thing other side. You're stepping over an obstacle, whether that be a step, a box of some sort, maybe your cat. You're just working on lifting that leg nice and high, stepping forward, pushing that leg back. So we're not trying to skid our foot on the floor as we're coming out and in, but you're trying to think about doing a very distinctive single step and then a very distinctive single step to come back in. Lifting the leg nice and high. Ignore the arms for now. We're just doing the legs. We'll add the arms later. Lift and come back. So we're just going forward right now, alternating. I can see on my screen that the light kind of keeps flickering in and out on my camera. I think it's adjusting to the light behind me, but hopefully you can see me okay, even if it's a little bit dark. Really take your time here. I don't want to see anybody do this really fast because the slower you do, the harder it is. And I want you to really think about lifting that knee nice and high and stepping it as far as you can. Same thing on the way back. Lift the knee nice and high and step it all the way back in. So there should be one distinctive step. Imagine if you're standing on wet sand right now. You shouldn't see footprints all along the floor, right? Because you're doing one distinctive step and then one distinctive step back. So there should be no footprints anywhere else on the floor. So we're not trying to push our way back in to the middle like that, right? We're thinking about a very distinctive step that you're taking and just one distinctive step on the way back as well. So the slower you go, the harder it's going to be. So we want to go nice and slow. Lift the knee nice and high, stepping out as far as you can. Good. Let's try going sideways now. Same thing with the leg. We're lifting up nice and high, stepping out to the side, and then we're going to push into that leg and bring it back in. Same thing, other leg. Lift that leg up nice and high, stepping it out to the side as far as you can, and then one distinctive step, lifting that leg nice and high, bringing it back in. So two things you're concentrating on here, lifting the knee up nice and high and stepping out as far as you can. But of course, you're trying to do this as slow as you can. The slower, the better. So I want you to almost imagine you're in a slow motion movie, or you're in a movie, but they turn down the speed way down. So you're going very slow, slow motion as much as you can, so that you're really taking your time to control your movement here as slow as you can. I can see my screen's getting dark again, but hopefully you can see me. Lift that knee high, step out as far as you can and as slow as you can. So same as the idea we mentioned earlier about being on wet sand, you don't want there to be footprints all the way back in, right? Because you want there to be one distinctive step and that's it, nothing in the middle. Lift the leg up as high as you can, step out as far as you can, and then big lift back in. Nicely done. One more time on the other side, big lift. Stepping out, really think about having no footprints in the middle as you come back in. Good. Okay, I'm going to move forward. We're going to do the same thing going backwards this time. You're going to lift that leg up as high as you can, step back as far as you can, and then same thing, that leg is going to lift up as high as you can and come back in. So same idea as before, we're concentrating on two things. One, lifting the knee as high as you can, and two, stepping out as far as you can. And you're doing that as slow as possible, trying not to get footprints anywhere else other than where you want to go. So there should be no footprints in the middle of your leg. So we're not doing this to come back in, right? I'm exaggerating. I'm sure no one's doing it like that. But you want to try to avoid getting footprints anywhere else. You just want the two distinctive footprints on the floor from where you started and where you ended up. Nothing in between. As slow as you can, lifting that leg as high as you can. Stepping out as far as you can. How are we doing? A quiet chat box is always a good thing. I hope we're all concentrating. Nicely done, everybody. And rest there. Okay, we're going to add all of those things together. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do 2 forward like this, forward step, bring it back. So same idea as before, slow as you can, other leg. Forward step, lifting as high as you can, stepping out as far as you can without there being any footprints in between. And then right away, we're going to the side. Bring that leg back in, as slow as you can. Same with the other side, as slow as you can. And then going backwards, as slow as you can. So we're basically going forward, forward, side, side, and back, back. Okay? And now, as we're doing this, if you would like to add the arms, I want you to imagine you're doing a big yawn, like first thing in the morning with every step. So it looks like this. Crouching down just a little bit. You're going to lift that leg, big yawn, and step forward. And then same thing on the way back, reverse your yawn and come back in. Other side, lifting that leg as high as you can, big yawn with the arms, stepping out as far as you can, as slow as you can, reverse the arms and come back in. Same thing to the side, lifting that leg, imagine that yawn, stepping out as far as you can. And big step back in. So we're going slow, right? As slow as we can, lifting the leg as high as we can, stepping out as far as we can, like we're stepping over a box, and coming back in. Remember, only 2 distinctive footprints on the floor, where you started and where you ended up, no footprints in between. Good, so you gotta really think about lifting your legs nice and high. If it's too difficult for you with the arms, ignore the arms, just do the legs. As long as you're going as slow as you can, lifting the leg as high as you can, and stepping out as far as you can. So as long as you're doing those things, you're welcome to get rid of the arms and just do the legs if you think the arms are too confusing. Because it does add a level of difficulty with the arms as well, because not only are you coordinating your arms and legs now as at the same time as maintaining your balance, but you're also crouching down and standing back up. So you're having some form of vertical displacement here as well with your center of gravity, which makes it even harder to control. So it's up to you what level you want to do, because we're going to keep building on this and get better at this every time. So no worries if you feel like you're barely stepping out or you're barely lifting your leg. That's okay. Just keep going as far as you can. Keep lifting as high as you can. Keep moving as slow as you can. And over time, you will find that this movement gets easier and easier, and your ability to control your center of gravity or balance your center of gravity over your base of support is going to get easier over time. Keep going. Well done, everybody. Remember to go as slow as you can. Lift that leg up nice and high. Step out as far as you can. If you are doing the arms, imagine the big yawn that you do first thing in the morning. You're reaching your arms out as far as you can, really stretching them. Good. How we doing? Nicely done. Let's do one more round, and then we'll move on. Nicely done. As slow as you can, lifting that leg as high as you can, stepping out as far as you can, and making sure we're not crash landing. We're going to be as quiet as possible. Nicely done, everybody. Almost there. Remember to keep stepping out as far as you can, only having 2 distinctive footprints, where you started and where you ended. No footprints in between. So we don't want to be sliding
the leg back in. You want to lift it back in and rest. Okay, let's move on. Our next one, I'm going to hold on to a chair. So the next one, we're going to practice a precursor to our floor kneel. So here's what it looks like. There's a few different options we can do. If you feel like your knees are not doing so good, or they're a bit painful, or they don't bend as much, that's okay. I'll show you a modification. But let me show you the full version first. You're going to hold on to something, whether that's the back of a chair or a table. Ideally not a wall, because I want it to be something you can grab hold of so you can really control the movement. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring one of our legs back, and you're going to bring that back knee down to the floor if you can, and then we're going to come back up. Same thing other side. You can see here, as I'm doing this, my body is kind of like an elevator. I'm going up and down. Can you see that with my body? I'm not doing this kind of movement, but I'm going up and down. So I'm really using my bottom muscles and my thigh muscles to help me control this movement. Now, if you want to do this full version, but your knees hurt when they touch the floor, see if you can put a cushion on the floor behind you as you're kneeling down. So a cushion somewhere here behind you, so that every time you kneel down, that back knee goes onto the cushion. And you want to, even though your hands are holding on to something, you want to try to use your feet and use your bottom muscles that we worked on earlier to help you stand back up. So this is the first version we're doing today, okay? We'll build on this as the weeks go on, but for now, this is the full version. Now, if you're not able to bend your knee that far, or you can't put your knee down, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna step back as far as you can, still holding on. Step back as far as you can, keep your body straight, and just bend as far as you can. Then you're gonna stand back up. So you're stepping out as far as you can, bend down as far as you can. Think body like an elevator. We're not going forward and back, but we're keeping ourselves vertical. Then stand back up. Now, for anybody, no matter if you're doing the full version or the modified version, if your leg is not far enough, you're not going to be able to bend down. So you have to step your leg out far enough in order to get some space for those knees, because the closer your feet are, the further your knees would have to bend to go down, which is probably not very good. So you have to step back further, and then your knees don't have to bend as much. Can you see that? They're 90 degrees. Whereas if I was here, they're already 90 degrees here. And then if I had to go further, that's pretty tough. So you want to step back as far as you can. If you're doing the modified version, you're just bending down as far as you can, keeping that body straight. If you're doing the full version, you're trying to get that back knee onto the floor, still keeping your body upright, and then standing up. Okay, so give that a go. That's what we're doing here. This is our floor kneel exercise. Of course, don't go as fast as I'm going. You can go slower, because we're not focusing on speed here. This is not about speed. We're not trying to do as many as we can. We're just trying to do the few with good technique. Okay, so you rather have quality over quantity here. Keep your body upright, push into the feet, squeeze the bum cheeks to get yourself upright. So we're really using our lower leg strength here, our lower body strength, to help us with this precursor to the floor kneel here. How we doing? I hope we're all okay. I hope you're still with me. Take your time on this. I know I'm doing this a little bit faster, but take your time. Don't match my speed. Do your own speed. Keeping your body upright. Think about that analogy we mentioned about the elevator, going up and down, not forward and back, but you're just going up and down vertically. So you can see here, this is why I didn't want you to hold on to a wall, because imagine you're like this on a wall, you probably slide down or crash your knee into the floor. So it's important that whatever you're holding on to is something you can grab and not just place your hands on. Good job, everybody. How are we doing? Let's do one more each side. Take your time. Really think about pushing the feet into the floor to get you back up. No leaning forward. Think about your upper body like an elevator, going up and down using those legs. And when you're finished, let's have a rest. Move that chair, and I'm gonna face sideways so I can show you. Okay, next, we're doing a basic movement here for the back of our hips and the back of our thighs. So you're gonna stand up nice and tall, bend those knees slightly. Can you see my knees are slightly bent? And imagine I put cement in your knees now, and they're locked at this angle, okay? So whatever angle whatever bending angle they're at, that's where they're stuck at now. Hands on the thigh, keeping your back straight. You're going to hinge forward at the hips and push your hands into your thighs, almost like you're rubbing something off your thighs. And then you're gonna come back up, pushing your hands into your thighs. And as I'm doing this, as you're pushing your hands into your thighs, can you see here, the angle of my knee stays the same the entire time. So can you see my knee doesn't move? It stays the same. It's just my hips, my upper body is moving, but the rest stays the same. And if this is really tough for you, you can even do this against the wall, for example. So this is my wall, standing up tall, bend your knees, stick your bottom back on the wall, and then you can do the same thing. Keeping your back nice and straight, pushing into the legs, and then coming back up. So you can do the same thing against the wall, keeping your back straight, hinging at the hips only without falling forward, right? You want to use the back of your legs to keep yourself upright. Sticking your bottom back just a little bit as a starter, bending those knees, and then pushing the hands down the thigh, keeping the back straight, and then pushing the hands back up the thigh. You should feel it in your bottom and the thigh, the back of the thigh muscle here. And then coming back up, squeezing your bum cheeks together. So we're starting with this on 2 legs because as the weeks go on, we're gonna change this a little bit and progress this into something that's a little bit more challenging. So for now, I just want you to think about the technique here of keeping the knees in one angle the whole time. Don't let the knees move. And you're pushing the hands, sliding the hands down the thigh and then back up the thigh, keeping that back straight. It's just the hip hinging. And again, if this is a bit strange for you or you're not getting the technique, keep your bottom against the wall. Same thing, keep your bottom against the wall, keep the knees bent at the same angle the whole time, even on the way back up. And see if that helps. Good, well done, keep going. Let's do 4 more. Three more. Remember to keep those knees the same angle. Imagine there's cement in those knees and you can't bend them or straighten them anymore. 2 more. Squeezing your bum cheeks as you come back up. So as I'm standing back up, but I'm keeping my knees bent still, I'm squeezing my bum cheek to hold the hip back in. One last one. And rest. We'll take the arms, we're gonna sweep them down as far as you can, and then reach them up overhead and arms down. Again, breath in. And breath out. Separate those legs a little bit wider, reach those arms up. We're gonna tip down to the side like so, like you're reaching one hand to the floor and the other hand up at the ceiling. Feel that stretch on the outside of the body, chest facing forward, holding it here. 3, 2, 1, and come back up. Same thing, other side. Tipping down to the side, one arm reaching for the floor, one arm reaching for the ceiling, chest facing forward. Feel the stretch on the side of your body, holding for 3, 2, 1, and come back up. Keep your legs nice and wide. You're gonna place your hands onto one knee and bend that knee. Stick your bottom back. So from here, you're sticking your bottom back as far as you can. And you should feel that in the inner thigh of that straightened leg. And coming back up, same thing. Keep the legs wide. Bend your other knee. Place your hands on the knee. Stick your bottom back as far as you can. And you should feel that stretch in the inner thigh of that straightened leg. Good. Come back up. We're going to hold on to something, whether that's a wall or your chair. You're going to step one of your legs back, bend your front knee, straighten the back knee, really try to reach that heel, that back heel toward the floor so you can feel that stretch in the back calf muscle here. If you don't feel it, bring your leg further back, or if it's too much for you, bring your leg further in. But you're bending that front knee, straightening the back knee, reaching that back heel to the floor. And let's switch legs, same thing, other side. Stepping back, bending that that front knee, straightening that back knee, reach that back heel toward the floor. And then we're coming back up. This time I want you to hold on to the wall. You have two options here. We're going to stretch our thigh muscle. If you're really flexible, you're welcome to hold on to the foot and pull it towards your bottom to feel that stretch on the front thigh. Or you can have a chair behind you, place that foot behind you, keep those knees in line. So don't let the knee be too far forward or too far back. Keep it in line and then push your hips forward, and you should feel it on the front of your thigh as well. Good. Let's switch legs. So same thing, holding on to the wall. You can either hold your foot, pull it up towards your bottom, or you can place that foot onto a table behind you, knees in line, push the hips forward, and feel that stretch at the front of the thigh. Good, nicely done. And relax the leg. Last one, we're going to sit down in your chair. Whoops. Sit down in your chair. Few different options here. We're going to stretch our bottom. You can bring one leg over the other knee like so. So the ankle over the other knee. Push that leg down. Sit up nice and tall and lean forward over that leg. You should feel it in the bottom muscle of that bent leg. Or you can straighten that leg and then hike the other leg over the knee if you feel like it's too much. Same thing, press that knee down, or you can lean forward to feel the stretch in the bottom. Whatever works for you, just holding it for a little bit longer. Good, let's switch sides. Same thing, other side, hiking that leg over the knee. Push that knee down toward the floor, straighten the spine, hinge forward. You should feel that stretch in the bottom muscle of that bent leg. Or again, that's too much for you. Straighten the leg, hike the other leg over the straightened leg, push the knee down to the floor, hinge forward. Same thing, just a little bit less aggressive if you feel like it's too much for you. Good. Let's finish off. Straighten one of your legs, keep the knee nice and long. You're going to sit up tall, hinge forward at the hips, reach down as far as you can the leg. You should feel the stretch at the back of the thigh there. And then come back up. Same thing, other side. Straighten the knee. Keep your back straight. Hinge forward at the hips. Reach down as far as you can. You should feel at the back of the thigh. And then we're going to come back up. And you are done. That's it. You've done it. Second week of our balance and fall series. I hope you've all enjoyed it. A quiet chat box is always a good thing. It means we're all concentrating. So hopefully everything was okay for you. If you have any questions about anything, you're welcome to type in the chat box, or you're welcome to email me as well. Whoops, I'm just typing in the chat box here so you can have the email, which is info@parkinson.bc.ca. If you have any questions, you're welcome to drop me an email on that email address, and I will do my best to answer your emails.